Hello and welcome to episode number 263 of the Launch Lounge podcast. In today's episode, you'll discover the boring systems that completely transformed my business and gave me 10 times more freedom without needing to work harder or hiring more people. If you're feeling like you're the bottleneck in your business because everything has to go through you, this is the episode that's going to change everything, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome. I am overjoyed to be here with you today. If you've been following along my car selling drama, I have an update. I took in my Tesla that I'm trying to get rid of for many different reasons, not just obvious moral, ethical ones, but also just because I don't like the car. I took it in for an evaluation. And the car is, worth $40,000 in the market, but the dealers are offering me $14,000. So that was a little bit of a shock on my system. A few episodes ago, I told you guys about my experience going to the car salesman. So I felt like I've had a huge emotional drama unfold since then. So I thought I'd update you. I'm still digesting. Holy cow, this car so remove Elon Musk from the whole equation at the moment and just think about the value of the vehicle. And then I believe the reason they're only offering me $14,000 for the car is because nobody wants to buy Teslas at the moment. And that has everything to do with Elon Musk. It has nothing to do with the operations of the vehicle, right? So it is kind of shocking, a little bit shocking for me to realize that the person who is the face of a business can have such a negative impact on the value of the product. It's crazy. And I had a conversation with my friends about this the other day, and they said, yeah, but it's because he's being such a dickhead, right? Excuse my French. And I was like, yeah, but there are other companies whose CEOs are also, not great people, not doing great stuff. And we came to the conclusion that it is because he's doing it so publicly and because he is bragging about bad stuff that he does. And I went, yeah, that really does take it to a whole nother level. So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a behind the scenes update, things happening in Salome world at the moment. Other than that, it's just getting colder. This morning at 5 a.m. when I was in the pool, it was pitch dark and it is getting colder, and mama doesn't like cold. I don't like winter. Give me sunshine, please. So that's what's going on here. My kids are currently on vacation, school holidays. It's the fall holidays, I suppose, or Easter holidays, what we call it here. And I have one kid running around at Warner Brothers Movie World today, the whole day. And the other one has put her headphones on and she's listening to Steven Universe, which if you shout out to all the Steven Universe fans out there, if you're weird like us and you're a Steven Universe fan, shout out to you. And she is drawing characters for the book that she's writing in her big art book. So I have a little bit of time to come in here and record a podcast episode for you, which is just delightful for me. The name of today's episode is The Boring Systems That Gave Me 10x More Freedom. And I'm going to share a bit of things that I've done wrong to create systems and processes and things that I've done right, and how I landed on these boring systems and how they're giving me 10 times more freedom. And I hope that in this episode, when you're listening, that you'll hear me say, even if I don't directly say it, but I'm about to say it directly, that it's a learning curve and you're not going to get it right the first time. You might not even get it right the first 3 times. And that's okay. I remember when I started my business, hearing about things like SOPs and hearing about things that I need to be creating SOPs and I need to be hiring an assistant and all the things. And I listened to that advice and I got it really wrong a few times. But I've also gotten it really right a few times as well. And where I'm at the moment, I really can honestly say that I have peace in my business because my systems are working and my people are working, and I am not doing it in a way that works for other people. I'm doing it in a way that works for me. So way back in 2018, when after I quit my job and I went full time all in on the business, I've already told you guys about how I brought Caroline and Hannah on, but even before Caroline and Hannah, I, heard I need someone to help me. One of the things I remember thinking at the time is, oh, I can't wait to have an assistant or some kind of a person who helps me because I don't want to read emails anymore. And to be honest with you, I don't enjoy reading emails particularly. I could live in a world where email doesn't exist, except for, when I'm talking to clients or talking to students or communicating about things that matter to me. But someone else sending me their emails or copying me in on emails or any kind of newsletter, nah, don't care. Okay. So I remember one of the first things that I asked this admin assistant that I hired to do is to manage my emails. And I very quickly learned that I hate it when people manage my emails. I don't like emails, but I like it even less when someone else is managing my emails. But I held on to that belief because everybody says you shouldn't be reading your own emails. You should have someone do that for you and filter them. And then I realized, you know what? With Google, I can just create filters and have Google filter them for me. And so I only see the important stuff and I have zero email FOMO. And plus, sometimes I go 2 days without checking emails and that's fine by me as well. So for me, I really hated having an admin assistant check my emails. But because I was told that's what you do, that's what I did. And so I hired this person and she helped us put a lot of admin stuff in place. And then when Caroline and Hannah came on board, they took over the ad stuff. So the majority of the work that I was doing in terms of running ads for clients, Caroline and Hannah took over. And then suddenly I realized I don't have... Now that Caroline and Hannah's running the client work, and we have systems and processes designed to, in the business to support clients and to support lead generation and conversion and all the things, content creation and that sort of stuff, I got to a place where I was like, I'm realizing that I actually don't have any more work for this admin assistant to do. It was all set up well and it was all working well. And I realized that a lot of she's coming to work and she's looking for something to do. And so she's coming up with all these new ideas and new ways to spend money and new things I have a whole box full of notebooks that she had designed and printed for us. And I had to kind of get to a point where I went, well, hang on. These things are not going to bring us more money. They're not going to bring us more leads. They're not really, they're the kind of things you do when you're bored and you're looking for something to do. And I had to let her go at the end of 2018. I let her go because there just wasn't any more work for her. And it was sad and it was hard, but I know she's taken care of and she got a wonderful job in a different agency, which is local to her. And then I hired an online business manager. And I was so relieved when I brought this online business manager on board because I no longer, I knew I didn't have all these admin tasks, but I also knew there's a lot of bigger things that is not just admin tasks that need cleaning up, that need systematizing, that needs recording. SOPs need to be done. And so I hired an online business manager, and they came in and did a fantastic job of, again, cleaning things up, creating a tagging system in our CRM, creating, just documenting all the pages on our site, creating podcast systems, launch systems, all of these things. But what the OBMs didn't want to do is admin stuff, basic admin stuff like scheduling social media posts. And so I had this OBM that cleaned up everything and created these brilliant systems, but I was still doing the lackey admin stuff, right? Because I didn't feel like there was enough lackey admin stuff to justify a full-time job. And so it was weird. I was sitting with this thing and I went, how is it that I keep outsourcing? I keep, when I didn't have enough work for a full-time assistant, so I got an online business manager. The online business manager was great, but now I'm doing back to doing the assistant stuff. Just, it was weird, right? And I see this with our clients as well. I see when I'm asking clients about their journey, which is often very similar to my journey, they start out as the marketer. They start out as the face. They're the teacher. They're the person with the skill. They're the person who has the gift to give to the world. And then they hire an online business manager, or sometimes they call them a visionary and I forget the word. Someone's going to correct me. Oh my goodness. The business owner is the visionary and the implementer. There we go. The implementer, right? And they expect that person to be both an operations manager. They expect that person to be their admin assistant. And this is the kicker. They expect that person to take over the marketing, because not all course creators are by nature marketers, right? You became the marketer because you're the face of the business. You became the marketer because you are the one who created the content in the beginning. You are the one who delivers the program. You are the one who teaches. So I understand the need for business owners to be online course creators, to want their online business manager or their implementer or their assistant to also be a marketer. But there's a problem with that. And the problem is that you got where you got because you learned certain marketing skills. They come in where they come in, and they haven't had the opportunity to learn those marketing skills. They can bring structure to those skills. They can bring systems to those skills, but they can't bring understanding of your ideal customer until they've had experience with it. They can't write copy the way you write copy. They can't show up live on a video the way you showed up live on a video. And I learned that I have to hand off certain things in certain ways at certain times, instead of just trying to give one person all the things and make them run with it, right? I learned that I can't just go from being the person who started the business to being a CEO, a manager of a business, without actually keeping my fingers in some pies, and without actually still being the person that is responsible for some things. And that's what I'm seeing with the clients as well, is when I'm working with them to help them with their marketing, it's sometimes the line is fuzzy. Who is responsible for the marketing? The owner, the business owner, the face of the business, or the person who manages the launch? And there seems to be this fuzziness about it, because the business owner wants to hand it off to the OBM or the assistant, but the assistant doesn't understand marketing or they don't understand your marketing and your people the way that you do. And I've been thinking about why the changes that I've made in the last year has actually worked for me, and why I'm feeling so much better not having other people do a lot of the stuff in my business, but having the right people do the right things. And the reason for that is, what I realized is, I don't want to build a business where I am just the CEO of the business. That actually sounds like my idea of hell. I have never wanted to be a CEO of anything, right? I am not the person who puts up my hand and says, please, can I be the leader? I am the person who puts my hand up and says, where's the leader? I'll support that person really well, but let me do my own thing in my own way, please. And so what I've come to realize is that these businesses that we're building as course creators are often practices. And by practices, I mean, if you think about a brain surgeon, the brain surgeon is critical to the business, right? So the brain surgeon has a practice. The brain surgeon is the only person who can see patients at a certain level. You know, he can have assistants and registrars and nurses and other things that does certain things with their patients. But when it comes to the important stuff, the brain surgeon has to be in the room with the patient. That is still a one-on-one level function delivery. But the brain surgeon does not answer the phone. The brain surgeon doesn't reply to emails. The brain surgeon doesn't schedule anything. The brain surgeon doesn't do admin. The brain surgeon doesn't send out invoices, right? So there's tasks where the person who has the specialty knowledge is still integral to delivering that specialty knowledge. However, that doesn't mean they can't have other people in their practice managing things, running things, doing things, logistics, admin, all those sorts of things. And I think it's easier for me, since I've sort of adopted that mindset of building a practice, to wrap my head around how to hire the right people at the right time and give them the right SOPs and the right structure to work within my business so that I can still do the things that brings me joy, which is the customer facing stuff. It is the coaching the client. It is the helping the client with their marketing. I am the only brain surgeon in my business, and I am the person they come to see, but that doesn't mean I can't outsource and have a practice manager and have someone answering the phone and have someone doing a bunch of this stuff, right? If you want an easy way to build an audience that is ready to buy without wasting money or pulling your hair out trying to work the tech, then get the free 5-day Facebook and Instagram ads training now. In just 5 days, you'll learn how to set up high-converting list-building ads, navigate the ads manager like a pro, and master the exact formula through profitable ad spend. No fluff, no guesswork, just proven strategies that work. The best part, this comprehensive video training is completely free, and you'll get lifetime access to our brand new 2025 edition as soon as it launches. Ready to transform those scary ad campaigns into your most powerful lead generation tool? Head over to thelaunchlounge.com/getmyAdUp or click the link in the show notes. Don't wait. Your future customers are scrolling through their news feeds right now. So it's helped me to think of it more as a practice. Now, if you are still doing everything in your business, you are the bottleneck, right? You cannot do everything. You're going to burn out. But I made the mistake of handing off too many things too quickly, and then also not being clear, with the whole admin person versus OBM. I just wanted one person to take it all off of me, and that didn't work. But I also didn't do it well enough so that I had the OBM who could oversee the admin person and then make it work. It was kind of like an all or nothing situation. And I think that has a lot to do, for me at least, it has a lot to do with when one of the things, because I'm building a business in Australia has very different labor laws. than the US, for example. And I'm not sure what it's like in the UK or in other countries, but it's also very different from South Africa, from what I'm used to. In Australia, laborers are very, very much protected. And so when I started the business, I realized that the expectation is for me to hire people full time. And I think that was a mistake. In hindsight, I am cleverer, a little bit smarter about hiring contractors and how to work with contractors and how to do it legally in Australia. Back then I had rose tinted glasses and I thought I'm going to employ the whole nation and be the savior of all the women who are looking for part-time flexible jobs. And it kind of bit me in the ass a little bit. But if you are still the bottleneck in your business, you may be feeling like everybody wants a piece of you. You may be feeling like you are incredibly overwhelmed with the number of notifications flying at you. I definitely felt that way. I was so overwhelmed at one point from everybody in my team needing me that I then ended up having my assistant filter the filter what everybody needs from me and when they need it by. But then that list became so overwhelming that I would just ignore that list, right? So that it was hard. It was hard when everybody needs you, everybody wants you. It feels like everybody wants a piece of you. It feels like you can never do the deep work because your Slack is constantly pinging or your notifications keep going off, or your diary's blocked off with meetings, and then you get to 4:00 in the afternoon when you're supposed to be driving kids to their hockey games and their orthodontist appointments. And suddenly someone says, well, where's that thing that's due tomorrow? And you're like, well, it wasn't in my calendar because there were so many meetings in my calendar. Nobody ever thought to put the time for me to do the thing in my calendar, right? So if you're experiencing decision delays, if you're experiencing getting repetitive questions from your team or being CC'd on emails that you shouldn't be CC'd in on, or getting asked questions about how to do simple tech things that you know how to do because you've been doing it in for a while, then you probably are the bottleneck in your business. And here's what I want to suggest is I want to suggest that you start documenting before you start delegating. That was my problem. Is I thought I'm going to hire someone and then I'm going to show them what I do, and we'll create the document together. And what I've learned is that doesn't work because there's 1,000 things that I am assuming they know that they don't know. And that makes it harder for them when they come in and I think I'm just going to show them and they're going to know. There is a frustrating but beautiful process that goes into, it's a process that goes into creating SOPs and documenting what you're doing. And it requires a lot more attention to detail than you think it does. And it requires a lot more steps than you think it does. In your head, it's a quick 5-minute thing. But when you start breaking it down and you hand it to someone to do, then you start noticing how many flaws are in that thing and how many actual assumptions you made that they're going to know where to find this thing, or they're going to know where to click, or they're going to know how to log in. And then you realize, oh, hang on, actually, what takes me 5 minutes is going to take someone else an hour because there's so little information. And so I learned the value of really documenting before delegating so that I can drill it down to the nitty-gritty, right? And what I do is I go into ChatGPT. I went into ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to tell me what the structure of a good SOP is. And ChatGPT gave me the structure of a good SOP, and it broke it down for me in the different, categories that I need. And it broke it down for me, saying, at this, you need to explain where the step fits in. So an SOP for us always starts with, where is this? What did we do before we got here? Or why are we here right now? Why are we doing this task? And then from there, it goes into what are the different categories of this task, right? What are the different, it's more like the procedures. What are the bigger picture steps? Not the small steps, the bigger picture steps. Then you want to put in there, like, what are the different technologies that I'm going to need? Or what do I need to access in here? And then you can go to the step-by-step stuff, and you can have videos, links to Loom videos in there and screenshots in there. But ideally, you want to have it literally number by number by number. And sometimes my SOPs go to 1.1.2.5.7.8.4, right? Because it is so detailed. And I would just, once I have the structure of that SOP designed by ChatGPT, I would then record myself doing the thing. And as I'm recording myself doing it, I'm narrating what I'm doing. Every single thing I'm doing, I'm narrating it. And it's only once you start narrating what you're doing that you realize how many steps there actually are in there. And then you can transcribe that, give it back to ChatGPT and say, here's the transcript of me doing the thing. Can you please now put the thing into an SOP? And the most important thing, there's two things that are most important that comes at the end of your SOP. And that is, what does this look like when it's done to our standard? It's very important. What does it look like when it is done to our standard? And the reason it's important for you to think through that is because you are the person who provides your team not just with the vision for your company, not just with the values for your company, but with the standards at which you deliver your services, or at which you send out emails or posts on social media or do podcasts. So you have to be able to articulate very clearly and show examples of what it looks like when it is done by our standards, because otherwise that person is going to assume their standards are enough, and it might not be, And then the second part of that is, what is the quality control checklist we need to put in place at the end of the SOP in order for someone to be able to go back and check that they have actually delivered by our standard? I remember at one point I brought this in for typos. Now, I will say I'm the first person to say I don't care about a typo too much. I have ADHD. I am a little bit, what's the word when you can't spell? I can't remember that word right now. I can't spell. My grammar's terrible. And you know what? I love writing. And I'm good at it. I'm a good writer, but my grammar's always terrible. My spelling's terrible. Thank goodness I have people who can check that for me. And thank goodness now I have AI that can check that for me, right? Does make for a little bit better professional appearance, especially if you're working with la-di-da clients who, are very professional and serious. And it is important for me to deliver a product that looks like I paid attention to detail and cared about the presentation of it. So I don't like it if there's a lot of spelling errors or typos in anything that I created, but I'll never beat myself up about it, right? I've done this 42 years of death by paper cut of beating myself up about little things like that. So Mama doesn't do that anymore. Anyway, I have no idea how I went on that tangent and where I was going. Oh, the standards. The standards. You have to have a quality control checklist. Somebody has to actually go and say, what are the things in our quality control that if this is not, that we need to check for to make sure that it is delivered to our standard? One of those things, typos. Did you check that there are no typos? If you say you've done the work and it's done, and I take the SOP and the SOP says, you checked that there's no typos, but there's a typo, then you didn't do it, right? And then we have a different conversation from you don't know how to do it. If I've given you a document that has a checklist for quality control stuff you need to do at the end, and some of that stuff wasn't checked, then we have a you didn't do it according to our standards problem. That's an HR problem. That is a people management problem. But if I did not give you that quality control checklist and you went and did it, and I was unhappy with how you did it, then a lot of the times business owners are just left in this space where they feel, but how can I hire people when they never understand how to do it the way I like to do it? Okay. So that's super important. And please, by all means, use my little ChatGPT trick. So I want you to think about this. What tasks in your business would break? What would completely break if you stepped away for a week? And if you could take 20 minutes to create that ChatGPT demo model structure, record yourself, get it into an SOP, and then hand it off to someone else, how much more peace would that give you, right? For me, that is turning out to be quite dramatic because I have a lot more time for deep work, for thinking, and for creating content, and for helping clients with their marketing, and for coming up with amazing new offers where I'm going to coach you guys and teach you and help you to create six-figure launches, right? Okay. So the second thing is I want you to start small. There are only a handful of SOPs you need at the beginning, right? So I have this Zapier connection in my business that when someone signs up for the 5-day video training that we have and that we've had for 6 years, the awesome free 5-day video training that shows you how to set up your first ads. When someone signs up for that, they are automatically, they get a student profile in Kajabi where that is hosted. And I have a Zapier Zap set up between ActiveCampaign, where they sign up for the 5-day video training, which is my CRM, and Kajabi, to make sure that when they submit that form in ActiveCampaign to sign up for the 5-day video training, that Zapier then tells Kajabi to create a profile for them and send them a password and a login so that they can log in and actually get their free 5-day video training. And it's super easy. It's wonderful. However, because this lead magnet's been around for 6 years and because we talk about it so much and because it's been taken by over 10,000 people, what I've started noticing is people are coming back to it and they're downloading it again. And so what happens is Zapier sends me an error message to my email address because my email address is the one associated with the account. So Zapier sends me an error and says, there's an error. It cannot run this Zap. And the reason for the error is this person has already signed up for the 5-day video training. So occasionally I come into my email inbox and there's this email and it doesn't go into Help Scout it doesn't go to hello at the Launch Lounge or hello at Shine and Succeed, which is our support inbox. It comes to me personally because that's the account, the email on the account. So I get this email from Zapier that says, there's been an error in the Zap. It couldn't run because this person has already signed up. So I know then this is someone who signed up in the past and they want to sign up again. And so I just go into Kajabi and I just shoot them their password reset or send them their password, their login, so that they are reminded they can just log in. It's a very silly little admin thing. And I kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it because it just takes 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes to do it. So I just kept doing it. And I kept doing it because I knew creating an SOP for this is going to take 20 minutes, right? And it just takes 2 minutes. So big mistake, right? Big mistake. Because if we think about not just what I could have done with that time, because let's be real, it's 2 minutes, right? It is literally 2 minutes. But It's another stimulant. It's another thing that stimulated me. It's another thing that poked at my brain. It's another message. It's another incoming thing. It's another thing I have to process. It's another finger poking at my central nervous system, right? And I just don't need it because I want to save my pokes for the important stuff. I don't want to be poked or notified or have a thing tell me to do something that is so insignificant. So I'm wondering if there are things in your business that are similar to my little Zapier Kajabi era that you could just make a list of. Just write them down this week. Just maybe if they come up, just write them down. And then take one Friday afternoon, and just say, this Friday afternoon, I'm going to take these things that I have written down on my list and I'm going to create some SOPs for them so that I can hand this off to somebody else. The rule of repeatables are, if you do it more than twice, it needs a process. If you do it more than twice, it needs to be documented. And it can be documented super quickly and easily with a little system that I've already given you. And then you can hand it off to someone else. Alrighty. So think about things like student onboarding or student offboarding if you have a membership. Customer service, sending out invoices, sending out receipts. Admin things that does not lead your level of decision making. Maybe your weekly content publishing stuff, your social media publishing, your blog post publishing, researching hashtags. I don't know what you do aside from the normal stuff that I do, but you're probably podcasting or blogging. You're probably sending out weekly emails. If you're the person sending those emails, start recording what you do now so you can hand that off to someone else. Scheduling social media posts, start recording it, start handing it off. Any kind of repeating admin, right? Now, I've already told you, I still to this day read my own emails because I go nuts if someone else is in my inbox. But I've set up filters. And I'm very quick to unsubscribe from stuff. And if I can't unsubscribe, I just block it super quickly and easily. And for newsletters and stuff that I do want to get, I created folders and I created filters so that it never has to be something I have to pay attention to when that person wants me to pay attention to. I can pay attention to it when I'm doing email, and I'll do it in one batch, possibly maybe every 36 hours. I don't always check emails first thing in the I definitely do not check emails first thing in the day. I can actually be really honest about that. I definitely do not. I try to check emails before I log off at the end of the day. But I definitely don't check emails as often as I should, or as often as other people do. I think I check it the appropriate amount for what I should. I do look for client emails. So I do go into Help Scout and look for client emails, but anything else, anything other than client emails, or if it's a student that needs me for whatever reason, I will reply to that, but anything else can wait. So what sort of tools do we use? I'm a tool junkie. I love good tools, right? But I've also learned to be a get rid of that expense junkie, right? Get rid of that expense. You only need two tools, right? The one is some form of task and deadline management tool. We use Monday in our business to manage client accounts, to manage launches, to manage the podcast, to manage emails going out, anything and everything that has a date attached to it and needs to be done either on repetition or by a certain date has to be in Monday, right? Everything else that is just record keeping, so all of our SOPs, a lot of my planning, a lot of my calendars, content calendars, email copy, all that stuff will never be in Monday. It will be in Google Drive. And there's this very simple reason for that is I have switched in the past from one a productivity management tool to another one and lost so much of our SOPs and things because I thought they have to be right there where the task is, but they don't. You can just link to it. Put it in Google Drive or put it in Dropbox or put it somewhere in a document style place where you can keep track of it. And then you might want to keep some kind of a running log, so maybe a spreadsheet of all of the different SOPs that you have in your business and when it was updated. For me at this stage, it's easier just to have a footnote on every page when I update it. I'll just say last updated by Salome, April 2025. And it's on the footer. And so if someone else comes in and they update, then they just change that and they say last updated by whoever on this date. And so that way we always know when was the last update made. Okay. So just 2 tools, right? Not 7,000 tools, literally just 2. All right. So SOPs, I want you to think of it as not just a tool for documenting how you do stuff. I want you to think of it as a tool that protects your brand quality and that allows you to own the standards at which work is done in your business so that you can. So I want you to make the shift from an SOP as a how-to document and start thinking it more of it as our standards document, like almost like a why, the how of the why, if that makes sense. Our standards and how we deliver work or how we show up in the world, how we do stuff is part of our brand. And whenever we hire people that we feel are not doing a good job of representing our brand, it could be because we haven't been good enough at verbalizing how we do things, what the standards are that we do things at in a way that someone else can understand it, because it's just how we do things, right? And we tend not to really think about it. We tend to just deliver stuff the way that it gets delivered, right? So when you're thinking about what do you delegate versus what do you keep, I want you to think of yourself as a practitioner. I want you to remember, not a practice manager, a practitioner. You are the brain surgeon. You are the thinker. No one else can think the way that you do. No one else can present the way that you do. No one else can teach what you do. You are the person with the specialist knowledge. But you also don't have to build the CEO business that you see your mentor building, or that you see that other person building on social media, or that you see such and such, or this and that, or whoever. You don't have to do it that way. You get to be and build it however you want. But don't waste your time doing stupid stuff if you can outsource it, if you can give it to someone. There's no brain surgeon that answers the phone, right? There's no brain surgeon that sends out invoices. So use that analogy so you can think about yourself in that way when you start outsourcing. Now, I want you to think about losing control. That's the thing that comes up when we talk about SOPs is, what if I feel like I'm not in control anymore? What if I feel like I could have done it better? Yeah. All those things. Yeah. What if you feel you aren't in control? Yeah. You're not in control. Correct. Absolutely. Scary. Yes, totally. Can you live through it? Yes, you will. Yes. It's not doing as well as you would have done it. It should be done even better. Because if you documented the standards and you created that quality control checklist, what I find happens is your people do it to your standard and then they add their flair. And you can never in 1,000 years anticipate the flair someone else is going to bring to what you do. And I tell you, it is the most beautiful, beautiful thing when someone else takes what you have given them and add a degree of flair that you would never even have thought of. And it gets delivered at an even better level then, because it's your standard plus their creativity or their brain function or their strengths. Then you're not in control anymore. And so then the trick is just to get them to record how they're doing it so that the next person you hire understands your standards and understands their standards and then can bring their flair to that. And sometimes, you might record something that has to be done in a certain way, but by the time number 3 or 4 who's doing the job is hired, the technology has changed. And so it might be worth saying, well, is it really worth doing this thing this way anymore? And that's where other people's flair comes in as well. And so it's a good thing not to be in control. You don't want to be in control too much. You just want to set the standards and then let your team run with it the way that they are built and the way that with the things that they're really good at. So here is a little 30-day mini roadmap for you. A few things you can do in the next 4 weeks. Just little things you can do in the next 4 weeks to help you get started creating your SOPs and your systems. The first thing is, week 1, get some kind of a tool tracking time. Timely is one. Every hour, I'm seeing a whole bunch of different time tracking tools. Productive.io. If you Google time tracking tool, you'll find a few that you can sort through. Use something that's free, but just for week 1, just track your time. And on Friday afternoon, sit down and highlight some bottlenecks. Highlight some things, those things like the Zapier email that's taking up your time, but you do it because it takes 2 minutes and it's going to take 20 minutes to create an SOP. Like, identify those things. Or identify places where your team has had to ask you for help or they've had to ask you for guidance. That's a very clear bottleneck right there, right? Week 2, just document the 3 key repeatables, right? The 3 key things that you keep doing over and over that you shouldn't be doing, right? Week number 3, you're going to design and delegate one process fully. One process, just take one process. Just that one thing that you highlighted, that's your bottleneck, and that you keep doing over and over. Design that process. Use my ChatGPT system and design your process and then teach it to someone else. And then in week number 4, you're going to do the same with the other 2 things that you identified. And then within a month, you've handed off 3 things, you've delegated 3 things, and you have a great template that you can use for all of your SOPs. So there you have it. The boring systems that create extraordinary freedom. Remember, you don't build a freedom empire by doing all the things. You build it by creating systems that run smoothly, whether you're there or not. Even if you choose to be the face of the business, even if you choose to run it like a practice. Start small and document just one process this week that's currently taking up space in your head or taking up pings in your central nervous system. Record yourself doing it, narrate it, use the AI to turn it into a simple SOP. This tiny step will create that first brick of the foundation of your freedom empire as well. And you know what? Most of the successful course creators and coaches I work with aren't necessarily always the person working the most in their business. They're the ones who realized early that their genius is at the heart of their business, and that needs to be protected. And it is protected by systems and processes that handle everything else. Your creativity, your strategy, your unique brilliance. That's where your time belongs, not in the repetitive tasks that drains your energy. So go forth and create your systems that will give you your freedom back as well. And then join me here again on Thursday when we are going to talk about how your business is going to work even better a year or 5 years from now. Thursday's episode is called Will Your Business Still Work Next Year? Let's talk. And we're going to unpack how to future-proof your business. See you on Thursday. Bye. Before you go, if today's episode helped you, imagine how many more lives could be transformed if other creators, coaches, and experts found these strategies too. Your shares and reviews help more course creators discover how to get their knowledge out into the world. Please take a moment to rate the show and leave a quick review. When you do, we get to reach more people and we make a bigger impact together. Because when more people who help people succeed, the world becomes a better place. Thank you.